we'll discover some things in it that we should know for ourselves. Things I'd like to point out in advance. We have never discussed how Lazarus got that way, that he was able to walk out of the tomb. We have never discussed whether he was the fifth level or the sixth or the seventh. Presumably he was the seventh. Maybe they are giving us a couple of hints that we should know about in the scene here where his sisters discuss it with Jesus. And if we look at it from that point of view, you may come up with some novel ideas that no one has thought of. Let's see if we do. I have no advance notice on anything, and I'm counting on you to come up with some ideas too. But we find that Jesus has just come to the scene, and he's not a bit surprised that Lazarus has been put out of commission. He takes it as, oh yes, that's interesting, isn't it? Just nothing at all to him. So apparently he has some idea that he can handle the situation because he's not alarmed, he's not even in a negative way about the condition that the sisters are left in. He didn't feel that they're going to be in any trouble because of Lazarus having left. But we want to call this the resurrection of Lazarus. And we want to see that what we're looking at is someone who is going through what you and I will each go through. There will be the resurrection of you and you and you. And you may not know it at the time, but as you look at this, I want you to feel and understand that this is a future activity for you. It's not here just for Jesus to teach things. It's for you to understand that this is you tomorrow, or the next day, or 10 years from now. That everyone is going through a resurrection, and this is an advanced state of it. That's the purpose of it. It's also to give you the knowledge that he probably was the first individual in the world to come to the attention of the world as having walked out of a grave. Now, we walk into a grave, and we don't know we walk out, but we're being shown that he walks in and he then walks out. And that's the first individual to show you about rebirth after you have made your transition. Oh yeah, there's Moses and there's Jesus. But it's nice to know that a man of the street, an ordinary man, is included in that. And you can remember that if Lazarus could be a resurrected being, so can I. He wasn't introduced into the Bible for any other reason than to show you that you are going the same way Lazarus went. Now, Jesus isn't here to take you out of the grave. You might have anyone that you know well, or anyone that is a practitioner, or you may find that you rise on your own power. But I want you to get the idea that this is about you. It's not something we're reading in a book about someone else. We're reading about ourselves. I think there's many ideas you can get from this if you listen with that in mind. A certain man was sick, named Lazarus of Bethany, in the town of Mary and her sister Martha. That same Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment. Do you remember that? That's showing you the consciousness of Mary. She did anoint the Lord with oil and wiped his feet. That's going pretty far, isn't it? Wiped his feet. So Mary is a highly attuned woman. Therefore, his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou hast loved. That's the first announcement to Jesus that his dear friend Lazarus is no more, theoretically. You go home, someone says to you, I got a call from Joe, or Mary, or Wilhelmina, and she told me the news. So-and-so is not with us anymore. What do? We get out flowers, we lament, we call, we say, I'm so sorry. We've lost a good friend. And we're thinking to ourselves, she was about 76, and I'm only 69. I guess I got a while to go. There's all this thing in our head because of the death of our friend that we have a while to go. And it reminds us of the fact that there'll be a day when we go. They don't seem to be aware of their going. When Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death. Well, you might have been delighted to hear it if Lazarus was your brother. But what would he have meant? After all, you're a student of him. You would know what he meant. Why didn't they? Why didn't they know what he meant? Perhaps they weren't high enough. They hadn't had a lesson on what it means to go to death. They don't know what death is. They've never encountered it. Maybe we who have not encountered death would feel as they did. Something is happening that I don't quite understand. I know some people who are elated about death. They know that the individual is high up the spiritual ladder, and they feel that his death, or so-called death, is his entrance to the kingdom. Maybe he's entered the fifth world. They're waiting to hear. It isn't always a very sad event. Sometimes it's what we'd call a promotion. This is done unto death, but for the glory of God. And so, we're being told about death, which is for the glory of God. And there's certainly no glory in the death of a person if it's final. And if you want to read it carefully, you're being told that death is not final. When you say, he's just a character in a book. Besides, he might have been higher up than my friend Willie down the street, or Mary, or someone else that I know so well. They're not as high up as Lazarus. Nevertheless, it's here, and it's here for a purpose, and it's going to be read by everyone who reads the book, and they're all going to see that he said that there was a purpose behind Lazarus' so-called death. It is not unto death, but for the glory of God. Now, the only glory that God would have is if this man went through the resurrection and appeared to demonstrate that there is no death. That is what happens. That the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now, he doesn't say that Lazarus was something special. He calls him the Son of God. There are places in the Bible where you are called the Son of God, and I am called the Son of God. And though we won't have Jesus at our funeral, perhaps, it is for the glory of God, that the Son of God be glorified. Maybe Lazarus has reached a termination point of some kind where he's fulfilled some of the requirements. Now it just occurs to us that maybe he's the seventh level. You see, the Seventh-day Adventist, that's the point of the name, of course. The Seventh-day Adventist. Maybe Jesus is at the seventh level. He's fulfilled the soul. I mean Lazarus. He's fulfilled the soul level. He's fulfilled the spirit level. And now he's been entered into the seventh level, Christ level. And they're speaking to the Christ, who says, this is for the glory of God. Now Lazarus is either dead or he's being Christed. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he'd heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. He didn't run. He didn't get to the next plane or the next train, get into an auto. Didn't even disappear and appear at the side immediately. Doesn't sound like a man worried, does it? He abode 2 days before he went to Lazarus. Lazarus was one of his best friends. He abode 2 days after he had heard the announcement. Oh, he was free to go, apparently. Why was there no trepidation? Well, he's telling you why. I'm not worried about Lazarus. He has been chosen to glorify the Lord. He doesn't need any help. He's glorifying the Lord. When I catch up with him, we'll get into action together, but right now, he's busy. It turns out that he waited till the 4 days were up. It seems that the human beings have a concept of death that, or had a concept of death that after 4 days the man is dead. You don't have to think twice about it. You can bury him now. In fact, 3 days was enough. The 4th day they'd bury him. So he waits 2 days because he's come 2 days after the death. Now he waits 2 more. It's 4 days. Meanwhile, Lazarus, allegedly, is still on the ground. Dead man. I'm pointing out that you can use Lazarus as a symbol of the human race. Because every member of the human race will go through the same experience. It'll be 2 days or 4 days. And it'll be Christ present or not present. No one will know that Christ is present at every burial. Isn't Christ omnipresent? How can Christ be absent anywhere? Isn't Christ in the room right now? Aren't we learning that we are the Christ? And now we know that Lazarus is the Christ. And we know that the Christ doesn't die. And apply it to yourself. We are the Christ. And we cannot die. If you don't believe it yet, meditate on it until you learn the truth. You cannot die. That's what you're learning here. Everyone who is the Christ, and everyone is, in the invisible, has a permanent, eternal life. It's hard to get to. It's hard to get at it because you are protected by learning it by degrees. It's such a vast undertaking to be the Christ that you have to come to it by degrees in your understanding, not in the fact. So you're given this kind of a consciousness and then another higher consciousness and then another higher one. Each level teaches you something about yourself. That's the only reason you have several degrees of consciousness. So you can learn about the Christ, which you are. And why would you bother to learn about it if you weren't? That throws an entirely different light upon our study. are privileged beyond anything that we can imagine to be taught who we are, what we are doing, to be given the privilege of looking at that very closely so that we don't get in our own way and delay our glory. And if there's one individual here who doesn't understand, this is you. It's in a book right now for you, fortunately. And someday you will come and you'll see that which is in the book is about my resurrection. And you will start planning. You will know that you are going to have a resurrection. And the time of it will depend largely on the consciousness you achieve. And if you know that, you will put in the time, and things that might have been done in preference to it won't be done because you will put the time in on learning about your resurrection, preferably secretly, because the family may not be quite ready for it. That's why this is a sort of secret movement, so that we can learn the truth about ourselves. Slowly, it will get out to one and to another. And we'll have a unanimity. Instead of people arguing about the truth, we'll all know the truth. Because that's what's going to set us free. Pardon me. You abode 2 days still in the same place where he had been. Then after that, saith he to his disciples, let's go into Judea again. Judea is where they're going to find their friend. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews are late, sought to stone thee. And goest thou thither again? They were concerned about his safety. The Jews had been quite hostile to the point of wanting to stone him. And they loved him. They couldn't find another. Don't go, Master. The Jews are after you. Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in a day? Any man walking day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. 12 hours in a day. He's using that as a symbol, right? The 12 hours when the sun is out represent a symbol. He's talking about the Christ who is the sun. The Christ who lights the sky, who lights the world, who is the light of the world. He's not telling him, I am the Christ. But he's telling you and me he's the Christ. He's saying, what, I, the Christ? Not to go out in the day or the night or any time. But he's wearing the armor of Christ. He's not going out and saying, I hope they know I'm the Christ. He's wearing the armor of Christ. What is the armor? He lives in the invisible seventh heaven. He is infinite being. The man they're talking to is infinite being. Later on they'll find it out at the crucifixion. They don't know it now. But his hints begin early. This is one of them. I am infinite being. I am the light of the world. There are no mortal beings. They're an apparition. Where is there a mortal being? Only in the world. And where is the world? How can it be in the kingdom? But the kingdom is infinite. That's all there is. Therefore, there is no world. We have all these play actors, these human beings, through whom I am teaching you the lesson. And you, my disciples, I am teaching you that Lazarus will come forth. I'm teaching you, Martha, and I'm teaching you, Mary. This is for your sake, but it's for the sake of everyone in the world to know the truth, because you are giving the world this truth by having the brother Lazarus fall dead in your house. And you are showing the world that Lazarus is dead now, but keep your eyes open. And you're about to learn it yourself. They don't know it. They think Lazarus is dead. They're not very far, are they? Then again, Christ always uses the surrounding people as instruments when he has healings and when he goes through teachings. Everyone plays the part that Christ has selected for him. These things said he. And after that saith unto them, our friend Lazarus sleepeth. He never said anything about Lazarus being awake or alive, but now he finally tells them, our friend sleepeth. But I go that I may awake him out of sleep. I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Where is he going to awake Lazarus? Lazarus is there. Then said his disciples, Lord, if sleep, you shall do well. They've taken him literally. Howbeit, Jesus spake of his death. Now John, who wrote this gospel, is giving us an aside here, that when Jesus said Lazarus was sleeping, he was telling about his death. And to Jesus, death was a sleep that was awaiting the resurrection. We have a lot of buddies, sweethearts, loved ones, all who are going to sleep someday. 30, 40, 50 years, 20, at every age. I think it'd be wise if we were able to get the ability to refer to it as sleep. The word death is taken so literally. And you'll find you come into the understanding that you're not speaking of death. You understand this is a sleep. And I might suggest it to you because you find the tension goes out of it when you're aware that it's a sleep. The sadness goes out of it. In fact, the curiosity is raised. Is this man or this woman in sleep progressing or merely coming forth from a bad experience? Is this a step up for him, or is he making no progress? Whatever it is, he's still asleep. Now, if you can't bring yourself to see that the person is asleep, it's not coming through to you that Lazarus was asleep, and that he was using it for the word which people think of as death. It wasn't as serious as they like to think. He announces now that Lazarus is dead, as people see death. But he's telling us that death is asleep. Now, it's true Lazarus is higher than a normal sleeper, but he's still asleep. And if Lazarus wasn't this high, he'd still be asleep. And I'm glad for your sakes that I, not there, to the intent ye may believe, nevertheless, let's go to him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, under his fellows, disciples, let us also go that we may die with him. Now that is an amazing thing to say. Did he know what he was saying? I presume he did. Let us go that we may die with him. Did he mean sleep with him? Work with him through his sleep? Did it ever occur to you that's what he was saying? He didn't mean die, ultimate death. He meant sleep with him. Let's get into Lazarus' consciousness. Let's help him in this situation. This is the first time a disciple has indicated that he did not accept death. When he says, let us die with him, he's not speaking about death. He's speaking about what Jesus had referred to as a sleep. I'm sure you hadn't thought of that. beginning to break now. Then when Jesus came, he found that he had lain in the grave for 4 days. Already. And the 4 days was purposeful. After 3 days, a man is dead. That's what the popular opinion is. They wanted you to know that this man is dead from the standpoint of what people think. Not what Jesus thinks. Jesus says he's sleeping, but he is dead. The public is aware of his death. The sisters even think that he is dead. Now we're ready for the miracle. Now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs. Many of the Jews came down to Martha and Mary to comfort them and concerning their brother. The town all knew about it. They were beginning to appear at the house. And then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was there, or coming at any rate, went and met him. Mary sat still in the house. And then Martha spoke. Lord, if you had been here, my brother had not died. Now she is of the opinion that he's dead, which is very natural. We'd all feel that way. But she says that if you had been here, Jesus, my brother would not have died. That's a compliment, of course. But it's also a rebuke because he wasn't there. And that's why her brother allegedly died. Thy brother shall rise again, Jesus says to her. Thy brother shall rise again. To hear those words when death was such an ominous final thing. Thy brother shall rise again. Martha saith unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. That's what she heard about life, and the death, and the resurrection. She expects to see him appear in the invisible someday, going toward heaven. She doesn't expect him to appear in the visible. She never heard of somebody who does that. And that's Martha. Martha is the outer consciousness of Jesus Christ. Mary is the inner consciousness. Without saying it, they have the outer and the inner present. So that first the outer tells you what her feeling is, and then the inner tells you what her feeling is. So you're seeing two sides of Jesus when you see Martha and Mary. Jesus saith unto her, I. That word is very important. I am the resurrection. He's not talking about Jesus. He's talking about who he is. I. He's talking about an infinite I. An I that is nothing but life forever. I. When you know who you are, you can say the same thing. I don't mean who you are 3 days or 6 days, but 7 days of the week. And if you know your I, you know that you don't live in days. You're living in eternity. But you are I. And if you've made that acceptance already, just think how far you are ahead of Mary and Martha. I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. Now it's important for us to stop at this point and dwell upon it. Jesus is not Jesus. You're listening to the Christ at all times in the form of Jesus. Jesus is another man outside in the visible. He's got a body like you and I. But of course, he's concealed in reality so that he is the Christ. And he says, I, meaning Christ. Christ is the resurrection. When you know Christ, that's your resurrection. Whosoever liveth and believeth me. Now you've got to see that me does not refer to Jesus. Again, it refers to who he is. He is the Christ. Whoever believeth in me. If you believe in the Christ, you're saying when you believe that I am the Christ. You can't believe in the Christ and not know that you are the Christ. You're not saying that he is the Christ and I'm not. You are the Christ. Whoever believeth in me is he who knoweth that he is the Christ. Not just Jesus, but the man, Jesus, is the Christ as we are. Though he were dead, appearing dead, yet shall he live. Whoever liveth and believeth in me. Now to believe in me has got to be understood. Let's do it again. To believe in me means to believe in Christ. What can you believe in Christ? The ultimate belief is that we are the Christ. Whoever believes in me, whoever knows that everyone is the Christ, I am, you are, we are, shall never die. This is important. This is important. I want to nail it down. I either believe that I am the Christ or I don't. And I've got to learn that I am. And when I believe it, I shall never die. I don't know how old you are, but everyone, regardless of age, from 2 to 22 to 82 and beyond, whoever knows that I am the Christ, and I'm speaking of I, shall never die. How well do you know? Is there anything you can do more important than know? What tests have you failed to know? What tests have you established that you do know?